That's the end of the class. I just ask how you are, and then you say how you're doing, and then I leave. I'm so glad you got dressed up. Are you naturally that white, or is that your face paint? Can you guys all hear me? You know what's great about that? I ask that every day, and about half the people say yes, and the other half say no. And sometimes it's people that are literally sitting next to each other. So I'm not going to believe any of you. I can't hear myself that well. Dakota, can we bump this up at all? I don't want to be screaming. I brought my house band to play loud-ass music the entire time during the class. I'm not paying them, but they play loud music the whole time. We've got a loud fan over here. Who here has any idea why they're sitting here at this class? How many people are just here to look at me for 45 minutes? Does anyone have any questions prepared? Well, that's going to be fucking great today. I'll tell you what. This is awesome. It gets less and less interactive every class we do, so let's hope. Chicago yesterday was the worst, so I'm hoping you guys are even worse than Chicago. Because that's really the goal, is to learn literally fucking nothing for 45 minutes. Alright, so, let's take the glasses off, that's how you know I'm getting serious. That's not really how you know. That girl had a crazy expression on her face when she saw me take the glasses off. So, loud as hell. I try to do a class wherein I talk about my educational experiences and try to help you guys out with life issues that you might have. I know that none of you raised your hand when I asked if you had questions. That is not conducive to the class environment. So hopefully you can fucking think of something to ask me so that I'm not just looking at you guys for 45 minutes. I'm sure they already gave you the whole spiel on what you can and can't do. I want to do that. This is not an opportunity for you to raise your hand and tell me that you love me, though I do appreciate that. And this is also not an opportunity for you to raise your hand and ask me if we will play in any specific city or state that you live in, because that's not really my thing. This is an opportunity for us to talk about your life and education. So ask me questions and I will do my best to answer it to the best of my abilities. If your questions are as vague as, how do I become a musician if I'm not a musician? Please don't fucking ask that question, because it's dumb as hell. So try to keep pertinent questions and we'll do our best to have a good time here together. So please raise your hand if you have something to ask me. And this gentleman, oh, real quick, don't keep your fucking hand in the air the whole time the other question is being asked, because that will just hurt your hand and it's dumb. So raise your hand, he'll give you the mic. If he doesn't give you the mic, wait it out, maybe he will later. I don't know his name, but he looks like a very kind gentleman, so maybe if you pay him off, he'll give you the microphone.
So I actually got prepared.
Several things. Talk as loud as you possibly can, because invariably people cannot hear you, and say your name, because it's weird to just talk at me without me knowing who you are.
Well, I'm Emily.
Hi, Emily. Do you see how I'm talking way too loud right now?
Yeah.
Try to match my level of enthusiasm.
Gotcha. Does this work fine, or
Yes.
should I talk
Put
loud?
the whole microphone like really close to just this close so that you can't really.
Is this good, Andy?
Yes. See, and you said my name.
Yeah.
We're going. You guys are fucking gonna be golden today. I can tell. It's gonna be a good day.
Well, hi, Andy.
Hi.
I came pre-prepared. And
All
I have
right.
a question. You always say that to be your own biggest fan, and I have a question, are you your own biggest fan, and how can someone be their own biggest fan?
I cannot think of anyone who loves me more than me. It is an unfortunate byproduct of being a singer in a band, is that you have to have an incredible amount of love for yourself. But I like to see it as a positive thing in many ways. The reason being is that by and large the world outside will try to tell you that the dreams and aspirations that you have are silly. If you don't believe in them, it's very hard for someone else to believe in you. Who here has something that they want to do that seems outside of the realm of possibility for what they are in their station in life? I will say this, and this is a generalized blanketed statement, but people sometimes look at their careers and the dreams that they have, and people will say negative things to them like, that's not possible. I want you to know that those people are probably right. It is very hard in many ways to attain the dreams that you have, particularly in the entertainment industry. The reason being is that it's it's not a constant field where new things are cropping up all the time. There's not an easy way to get from point A to point B. Unlike becoming something in a more professional field, there isn't schooling you can necessarily go to. There aren't steps that you can follow that are going to definitely work. So people that tell you that you might fail have every valid reason to tell you that. The only way that you can possibly know that you'll succeed is by looking inside yourself internally and deciding whether you can really be honest with yourself and say that you have an unbridled talent and something that is really genuine. We all have seen American Idol, right? You've seen the show where people go on and they sing atrociously, and then they're done and they go, well, my whole family and everybody says I fucking kick ass. And you go, well, that person maybe in some capacity believes that. But by and large, most people are true with themselves. And deep down, they know that person, like they know that they can't sing. They just want to do it because it would be fun. So the only way that you can really guarantee that you'll have any success in any field is by being really brutally honest with yourself and saying, do I have the skill set and do I have the necessary work ethic to have the wherewithal to get to that end? So being your own fan is a necessity to get to that point. You have to believe that you have something great, and you have to be able to, I guess, act on that greatness and to be able to push yourself forward. So yeah, be your own fan if you can be, because it's very unlikely that someone else will be if you don't like yourself. Is that the one? I'm done now. That was the one answer that I'll give when I leave. Today, by the way, I think per capita is the most weird colored hair per person, and I appreciate that about you guys. All the colors of the rainbow. And there's only one person crying the whole time, which is another great thing that's happening today. Yesterday, I had a woman just literally shouting at me for the entirety of the class, but she was way the fuck back there, and I couldn't understand her, so... Which is not great. I can't really teach you anything there.
Okay, so my name's Kaylee.
I see, she fucking said her name. This is amazing. You would not believe the people that do not understand the concept of saying their first name. It is unbelievable, so thank you so much. Everyone, give it up for saying your name. Because honestly, if you don't know your name, I don't think you're going to be like going after higher education. I feel like that might be something you want to learn first.
Okay, so if I'm correct, you dropped out of high school?
You are correct.
Okay, do you ever regret not finishing it out, or do you ever want to go back?
I will give you an abridged history of my educational background. I was born into a poor area in Cincinnati, Ohio. I went to a predominantly urban school. We were the kind of school where we could not afford textbooks. We're the kind of school where other schools had to donate their textbooks to our school, and therefore the lesson plans would be put together in a way of like half the room turned to page 62, the other half turned to 170, and the teacher will just kind of wing it. As you can imagine, this did not prepare me greatly in terms of mathematics and other things, because I was learning basically nonsense, and the teachers were ready to kill themselves all day, every day. So that set me up for my next schooling thing. By the time I was in 3rd grade, I went to Catholic school. The kids in Catholic school were light years ahead of where I was in terms of education, and I was immediately set back. Now, one thing that people don't necessarily talk about is that socially, when you are not doing well in school, there is an element of social neglect that comes from that. The kids who do well in school tend to have more advances. They tend to be able to socialize better. They tend to be able to understand the world around them better because they have a greater understanding of the things that they're learning on a daily basis. So I was immediately kind of bisected and put into something where I was the dumb kid who liked Kiss. You know what I mean? Like, most other kids thought that Kiss was a radio station, or, you know, Kiss FM or whatever. So I was the kid who didn't understand anything in terms of school, and I liked old people bands. So you can imagine that for me, I did not immediately associate with the other children. So by the time I was in 4th or 5th grade, I was already so far removed from schooling that it was hard for me to catch up. By the time I went to junior high, I was put into special education classes. I was literally in class with people who unfortunately had mental illness and people who had Down syndrome and other things, because my understanding level was so low that I could not understand basic mathematics. I had a lot of difficulty with not necessarily cognitive reasoning, but other I guess historical facts. I had difficulty placing things, so I was put really far behind. By the time I went to high school, I was fairly certain that the school system in my area had sort of given up on me. And throughout my life, I was never interested in being a dumb adult. One thing that I try to impart on everybody in these classes is that being being stupid and ignorant is not exciting or fun. It's not cool to be dumb, and no one wants to speak to an adult who can't fucking say something to them. Being able to carry on a conversation and have a vocabulary wherein you can explain things of yourself is hugely important. It's also very cool. People sometimes look at me like I'm some sort of magician because I know words. It's not a magic trick, I just read a fucking book. So, though in my life, I had issues with school, it was important to me to have some basis of knowledge. So I did ulterior research. I read books constantly. I watched the news. I spoke to adults. I wanted to learn as much as I could. By the time I was in high school, I was in school around the time of the Columbine shootings. And after the Columbine shootings, anyone that wore black clothes or was interested in rock bands was sort of seen like it was very possible that any day we might kill everybody. And as you all know, someone wearing a black t-shirt is probably going to kill you any second. We all know that to be a fact. Let's all be very afraid. I'm afraid of most of you right now. Particularly you, sir, in the Kiss shirt. I'm sure you killed at least 8 people on the way here today. So that was something that was just accepted as fact. And so because I was interested in rock bands, I was put into a trailer about 2 miles off of campus with the juvenile delinquent kids. I'm talking people who had recently knocked over the liquor store near our school, people who never attended school, people who were selling drugs, people who actually probably were rapists in some capacity. These were the people that I was lumped in with because, again, I wore black t-shirts, which, as we all know, probably killed someone because of that. So I was put off into this other schooling system, and I kid you not, I was given assignments such as compare and contrast the political songs of Toby Keith and Alan Jackson. I was a senior in high school, and this was a real goddamn assignment that I was given. And at that point, I knew that they had given up on me. And so, for me, I felt that I was not learning anything. I didn't need to spend 3.5 weeks on learning the Magna Carta because it wasn't applicable to my life. And I felt that in many ways I had passed what they thought I could do mentally. And so, for me, what I did was, I moved to Los Angeles and I said, I'm going to make this dream of mine happen. I do not advocate you drop out of high school. I don't advocate you drop out of any form of schooling. One of the biggest regrets in my life is that I do not have any formal form of education. If this didn't work out for me, I would just be the guy with blue eyes and a snarky attitude sitting on the street asking you for money. Instead, I'm the guy in a tent who's talking in a mic asking you for money. So you see there's a slight difference there. This is professional, the other one not so much. So because I don't have any formal schooling, if this didn't work out for me, there would be very little I could do. And really, in all honesty, it wouldn't have hindered me they didn't like the class. It wouldn't have hindered me to be in a position, bye. I hope you don't trip and fall later. I'm fucking magical. You see that shit? That's why I quit school, because I'm fucking magic. I'm just kidding. I hope that kid didn't really hurt himself. That was crazy, though. There was no way that was going to happen. Today's class is already way better than any other one just because of that shit. So not having any form of education, it puts me in a corner with what I can do if, say, the band didn't work out or whatever. So I don't know that currently in my life I would go back to school just because I'm rather busy. I've got TEI classes to teach and shit, so I don't know necessarily that I would do that. But by and large, what I want to do in terms of education is I want to try to help other people find their ways of avoiding dropping out of school. And when they feel like school has given up on them, or they feel like the education system has given up on them, helping them find ways of attaining knowledge and feeling like they are intelligent. Because, again, I will go back to the fact that being a dumb adult is not an exciting prospect to any of you. I would like all of you to just, for 10 minutes a day, stop tweeting mean things at celebrities and pick up a book and read something and try to educate yourself about the world around you. Talk to your parents about current events. Watch the news. Try to find out things about politics. Learn things, because as an adult, if you don't have these skills and all you know how to do is to tweet pictures of 5 seconds of summer, you're really not going to have much to tell anybody about who you are as a person. So please, if nothing else, just try your best to not act like an idiot for just a little bit every day. Just think in your mind. And that was a big thing. My dad, literally, it sounds like a joke, but my dad would tell me every day before I went to school, and this was the family motto, to remember to try not to act like an idiot. And I really took it to heart. Try your best to not be dumb. It's a really important and interesting thing. Because when you think about it, how many people have dealt with people talking shit about the way they dress or the bands they listen to, that kind of thing? Guess what, guys? You know how people say everybody's special? You've all been really lucky. You've met the not special people. Because those people, for some reason, have convinced themselves in their dumb brain that anything that you do is any of their fucking business. And that is an indicating factor that they are, what, dumb as hell. And people that are dumb as hell generally aren't special. And special people are the ones who can actually make a decision for themselves. So congratulations, you've all met the dumbest people on the planet. Let's give it up. Dumb as hell. All right, who else has a question?
Hi, Andy. I'm Maria.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good.
You have an enviable spot back there in the shade.
Yes, I do.
I'm sure everyone out here wants you to trip and fall. I won't say it because we know what'll happen, but...
And it's actually, I worked Country Jam all weekend and got home at 5 o'clock this morning and came here to your class.
Well, thank you so much.
So, my question is, it isn't really about the music industry. I went to college for 2 years for photography.
Sure.
And I have had someone tell me that photography is not really a job.
Well, anything is a job if you're getting paid for it. Prostitution is theoretically a job. I don't advocate any of you go into that. And I want to be real clear, I'm going to say that again. Please, none of you become prostitutes. One more time, none of you become prostitutes, please. I think that what's interesting about an entertainment job is that there is a stigma that's placed on it that it is not a job. Until very recently, I was still, by some members of my extended family, treated as I was doing a hobby. I've been doing this exclusively for years. I have many shiny records on my walls. I do well, but I would still go to a family function and, you know, I would have someone say, how's your little, you doing that little band thing, huh? They're like, well, that is, I paid for my fucking house with it, but yeah, I guess. So there is certainly a stigma on that. I think that the only way to transcend that is by being incredibly successful at it, which I know is not an easy thing to say. Oh, now I'm going to be incredibly successful at this incredibly difficult thing to do. But finding success and showing that you have an income and a steady way. Like, I'll be honest with you guys, you might not know this, renting apartments or whatever else for musicians, no matter how successful they are, is incredibly difficult because we don't have constant paychecks. We don't have pay stubs that come in. We receive royalties that are on a non-regular, consistent basis. And so for us to prove that we make a considerable amount of money or whatever is difficult. I have to go, no, look at this thing I did. Like, I literally before have sent people pictures of me on stage in front of people, like, no, look, people like me. See, like, I can pay for stuff. I have a lot of people. And it's, you know, it's just weird because it's not conventional. And so I guess trying to find a means of transcending the convention is a difficult task, and I don't know that I can necessarily answer it, but I think that's probably the only way. All right, more questions. This is a great class today, by the way. I'm really appreciating it. It was until you all just looked at me like you were going to kill me when I fucking said that.
Hi, my name's Andy.
What's up? Your name's Andy?
Yes.
Can you stand up and show everyone your beautiful white face today? It's wonderful. And the thing that you don't know is that's not makeup. She's just really worried about sunburn today. So that's SPF 90.
Just worried.
What's that?
He.
He?
Yeah, I'm he.
You're a he?
Yeah.
I'm a he too.
Yeah.
Hey, let's high five for he's.
Anyway, so,
Okay, wait. Well, I'll be honest with you, Andy. I don't think you're doing helping out at all. So maybe hold the microphone to your head. I'm just about done with you. I'm gonna make you trip too.
okay, so I'm in a band. I'm sure a few other people here are in a band. And we're currently looking for members. I have a question. How do you find members?
Go to the member store.
Well, I've been looking and I just...
Well, honestly, the way that I started was going to music stores. People that were in guitar lessons. Because by and large, kids that were learning guitar or were learning things were not experts in the field. And therefore, they were the same age as me often, and they were also interested in starting something. So I would literally walk through music stores and see if I heard anybody playing a song of a band that I liked. And if they did, I am endlessly enthused by myself, and so I would come up and say, "Hello, I'm Andy. You have finally met me. It's now time for us to be in a band." And I would often find that they could only play that one song, and then I'd have to find someone else, or I'd find that they weren't necessarily interested in that, but it was an easy way of finding people that were at least interested in playing instruments. The most difficult thing about finding band members is people's level of dedication. I went through 27 different people in Black Veil Brides before I found the lineup that we've had since 2009. And it's a staggering number, and it's not because I'm not wonderful to be around, because clearly I am. But it was because people's dedication level was small. They had jobs that they needed to do, they had children, they had whatever it was that I understand required their attention, but they could not dedicate themselves with the tenacity and the veracity that I needed them to do. So finding someone that is dedicated in the same capacity that you are, and kind of forming a partnership and then continuing on from there, that's really the biggest thing. Go to local shows, go to music stores, try to find people that are interested in the bands you're into. Is that cool?
Yep.
Thanks, Andy. Hold on, I have to put a lozenge in. My throat hurts. My voice is actually really high. I'm just sick right now. I've just been sick for like 9 years. Yeah, my actual voice is much higher than like Kellen Quinn's. It's just I'm really sick.
Hi, Andy. I'm Haley.
Hi, Haley.
I drove to the April Fest.
You drove there?
Yeah, we saw you on the North Side.
Really?
Yeah.
I was there. We won an award.
Yeah.
You don't have to clap.
It was awesome.
It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to, but just a little bit more would be fine too. You know what's great? I'm totally, I'm happy you did that. I'm ashamed of myself that but I'm totally alright with the applause.
My question is, how difficult is it to actually tour and be in a different city every day and be on a bus all the time?
I'm gonna have to take this out because I feel like a chipmunk. How difficult is it to tour?
Yeah.
It's incredibly grueling. Particularly something like a Warped Tour where you're dealing with very odd times. You know, unlike a regular tour, when we go on a Black Veil Brides headline tour, I know roughly when the show is going to be every day. I can sleep as much as I want. I can try my best to kind of, if I'm sick, it's a lot easier to be able to go see doctors. On a Warped Tour, you don't know when you're playing every day until about 9 a.m. You got to be up by like 7:30 every morning just to make sure that you can get that schedule. Oftentimes, if you're playing late, you're not getting to bed until really late. I haven't been drinking at all for quite a while, so I don't have that, but a lot of people drink all night and they're hungover the next day. So, yeah, it's a grueling thing. People don't necessarily understand that, being on tour isn't like a party all day long every day, and then there's a show, and then it's more partying. It can be, but that you get exhausted pretty quickly. Most of it is kind of boring. You're sitting, and then you're waiting, and then you're looking at something, and then you eat something, and then you sit, and then you wait, and then you walk outside, and people go, "Andy! Andy!" And I'm just trying to take a shit in that porta potty over there. And then I come out of the porta potty, "Andy!" And I'm like, "Why are you yelling at my name? I know my name. Why are you so aggressive? I was just trying to take a shit." "Can I get a selfie?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't. I'm holding toilet paper. I can't selfie with you." And I go back to the bus and I sit and wait. And I wait some more, and then I eat a granola bar, and then inevitably I have to shit again. So, and then I wait it out a little bit longer, and then we play a show. And then after we play a show, I walk back to the bus, and maybe I eat another granola bar. You never know. It depends on how I feel that day. And then I try my best to go to sleep on a bus that's doing this the entire time we're driving. And then I wake up and do it again. And I do that for 100 months a year. And it's exhausting. So yeah, it's tiring, but it's also exciting to be able to play the shows.
Thank you.
All right. I like those of you who are doing the math with 100 months a year right now. I don't think that's right.
Hi, my name's Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
My question is, sorry, I'm blanking.
You're a blanket? No, you're not, Olivia.
Does life ever get
their breaking point, particularly creatively. Every time we make a record, I go in guns a-blazing. I'm excited, and I can't wait to start writing. And I'll write a million songs, and I'm excited about them. And then there is a part in every record that we make that I know the record is done because I cannot even figure out what words are anymore, and it seems like my head is going to explode. And then I know we're done because I've done all I possibly can to put into the record, and then I've run out of steam. So that happens constantly. Right now, it is because we've been on this tour forever, and it's hot, and we're all tired, and we've been getting sick and whatever. Every day you wake up and you feel like, gotta get it together. But eventually you do, and then things come together. So anything in life, so long as you have something you love and something you're excited about, you can get through it. All right. Hi. Oh, you have your hand out, you're not just waving at me? Thought maybe you're just waving.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Emma.
Hi, Emma.
So, I do have a serious question. But my mom thought it'd be a cool idea to show you this.
That's cool. Is that a light bright? What is that? None of you know what a light bright is. The other day I said MySpace and kids were...
But this is a room decoration that you made me for Christmas.
I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's... Alright, so this sucks. I was going to say bedazzled, and the word that popped into my head was bejazzled. I literally, it's bedazzled. That's nice.
Okay, so serious question. So I've heard that when you were around my age, about 15,
Sure.
you struggled a lot with depression and suicidal thoughts.
Sure.
And I have a dream of being like you and helping people through music, and I was wondering how you push through all that stuff and get the courage to get through it and follow your dreams.
Sure. I didn't necessarily have overt suicidal thoughts. It was more so, as a kid, I was a very lonely kid, as I could explain before, to the extent that there wasn't. I was a little chubby kid that girls didn't want to talk to, and I didn't get along with any of the guys in my school, and so there was really nobody for me, so I was just alone a lot. Ultimately, what I found was that I kind of created my own world in my own head. I would play with my action figures, or I would, whatever it was. I would build sets, I would draw, and they were all things that kept me entertained. But the world outside was still dark and scary in some ways. I developed pretty crippling obsessive-compulsive tendencies, to the point where all the fear and angst that I had went into these really histrionic obsessions of, if I flush the toilet a certain number of times, bad things can't happen. If I wash my hands a certain number of times, bad things can't happen. And then the downside of that was I would have these weird, scary thoughts. I would be, as a little kid, walking across the bridge, and, my head would be like, oh, you could jump off the bridge, right? I had these really odd things that happened in my head that I couldn't explain and didn't know what they were. Ultimately, I chalked them up to just these kind of internalized fears that I had. And what I found was, the more I faced them head on, and the more I took them as things that I could utilize for my own benefit,